Hello everyone, welcome back to Historical Gameplay. Today we're overviewing the mod that is called Conquest 1066. This is a fantastic mod. It's mod for Britannia. What it essentially does, what Britannia perhaps should have had as a DLC or a free content. So it turns the campaign into Norman conquest essentially of 1066, and this is absolutely fantastic because I'm fascinated by this period in history. In fact, I'm teaching it to advanced level history, so this is kind of my area of interest and also specialism. So what we've got here, the mod actually has 10 playable factions as in the original Britannia, but the factions are all changed. As you can see, we have here Harold Godwinson himself as a leader of Wessex and as the leader of Anglo-Saxons as a whole. So the map here, this is the flying dragon of Wessex, and these are the vassals of his. For the English, or you also have Mercia, and I also had a fabulous campaign with Mercia as Edwin, another Britain culture group. So we've got a couple of more factions here. We have the Cumbrians and we have Gwynedd in Wales. We have Gels. We have a couple of more factions up north. Again, they have their vassals here, as you can see they outline on the map as well. There's one in Ireland. And Eastern Norse is the Normans. So basic famous Normans. William the Bastard or William the Conqueror, whichever you prefer, and with his typical characteristic Norman hairstyle. So this is fantastic. I had such a blast playing as them as well. And also Northumbria with Morcar, Edwin's brother. Okay, Edwin is Earl of Mercia, of course. And then we have Western Norse. These are the groups that they were placed into. Now Hardrada, the Hard ruler Harold, he is also represented here. I think it's already they already landed in England at this stage, I think, and they're just about to embark on this campaign in Yorkshire. And also we've got another faction here that also belongs to what are they called? Western Norse culture group. So let me show you what it looks like on a campaign map. I was fascinated to play as Normans. So as you can see, you have income from raiding, you have aspiring kings of England. So basically various bonuses here for melee skills for cavalry, which is very fitting here as well. 25 charge for cavalry units, again very fitting, very strong cavalry, good balance for other units. So all sorts of things that you would expect Norman faction to have. Let's have a look at them on the campaign map. So Normans have very strong cavalry, good balance of other units, and access to crossbows and Norman knights, which is again quite fitting. So let's have a look at what they start with.
Your peace treaty with the Saxons was a matter of expedience.
Yeah, this does not apply, this speech does not neatly apply to all factions, I've noticed. So Normans start already with Dover here, and I don't know if it's just, the only way to start a faction. Because there was, historically speaking, when Harold Godwinson was in Normandy, and supposedly have sworn allegiance to William, he also promised to garrison castle here and to support William's claim and all the rest of that, but I'm not sure if it actually came to be. So for whatever reasons, they do start with a settlement in England already, maybe just to help them out a little bit. I'm not sure what the reason is for it. You start with two armies. I believe that's all you've got. Yes. So William himself is at the head of this host they call the Shield Wall, and his closest ally and friend is Fitz-Osbern, William Fitz-Osbern, of course, and he's also leading the second Norman army. So here, let's have a look quickly at the family tree. As you can see, everything is represented very, very accurately. So you've got Robert, William, Rufus, you have Richard, the daughter here as well. He's got, in terms of governors, obviously we don't have any, but Eustace, this is his son Robert, this is his brother Odo, they all kind of represented here. Robert of Mortain as well. So most of the historical characters, this is in fact Robert the Duke, yes, and this is Herliva, and she is mother of William, of course. He was a illegitimate child, but this did not matter much because most of the lords in Normandy at the time had illegitimate children. This was not unheard of. Anyway, so the family tree, as you can see, pretty accurate. And William Rufus, in fact, is a designated heir because he will be the one, not Robert, but it's William to whom William the Conqueror will leave the crown later on, and Robert will inherit the dukedom, the Normandy itself. Okay, you start as neutral with all the factions, and then you can, make a war on Anglo-Saxons when and if you pleased. But as you can see, you're suffering attrition here. Both of your armies, in fact, have zero supplies, so you need to land as soon as possible. So these are the Normans, and let's have a look at other factions, see what else we've got there. So another major faction is the Anglo-Saxon England, of course, and we start here with Harold. So Harold gets 25% campaign movement range. This is probably because historically, he was very quick to march north to defeat Hardrada, then march all the way back down. And in fact, is this hastiness and this hurrying that brought the ruin upon him, I would argue. Witan as well, a unique version of Decrease, strong armored sword and spear infantry. So there we are. So as you can see, most of England is now Harold's vassal domains, and you can see therefore most of the map. These are the Harold's direct holdings, and then of course Morcar and Edwin here in the north holding land in his name. You also have few factions, is Saxe here, you have faction of Kent, you have various other vassals here that are subordinate to him. So Harold starts with only 8 units. Unfortunately, he does start in this position when, there is a cavalry unit involved. Yeah, one of the things I would perhaps improve is just to revamp the recruitment here. I would probably remove all of the cavalry and make them unlockable upon certain conditions. I don't know if it's possible. I don't know the first thing about modding Britannia, to be fair. Or just maybe what you could do is just lock it in somewhere higher tiers of the technology tree, somewhere there. I don't know if it's possible actually to script the battle. So, once you land as Normans, then you faced with a full stack English army, mostly comprised of housecarl, the third men, the historical stuff. And yeah, again, I would, if I could suggest something, just lock this away altogether, because we know the Viking style warfare prevailed in British Isles at this time, at this stage, and it's all the way until the Norman conquest and thereafter that the cavalry, the knighthood was, and a feudal system was introduced to Britain. Anyway, this is Wessex for you. Let's have a look what else we've got here. So yeah, here you start as well as the Norwegians and Harald Hardrada himself. Hardrada is still around, he hasn't been defeated yet. So again, fittingly, the Hardrada's faction, they have very strong axe and sword infantry, berserkers, Norse unit. Right, so here you are. You start with a stack of about 15 units, yeah, 15 units. And this one is quite historically accurate. I do like this one because it hasn't got a single unit of cavalry in it, which is great. And they also start with Tostig, obviously, the former Earl of Northumbria that was forced out by Harold and the local nobles. Harold, that is Harold Godwinson, his brother, also starts as your ally, I believe. Yes, military allies. And they start as a faction, as a horde, which is quite nice. And Norwegians, however, they do start with this settlement here, one settlement, and then they can carve themselves a kingdom here and wait. Hopefully Harold will march north and challenge Hardrada for control of the country. So you see, he's got Magnus as well, that's his son, so quite a historical family tree overall as well. And you've got plenty of opportunities to raise here, to harry the north, to plunder and get to York. Right, let's have a look at other factions. So another historical faction with Edwin as Earl, young Edwin, is Mercia. So Mercia gets, again, strong sword and spear infantry. They get this border guards, marcher, spearmen, I think they called. There they are. So here is, the first mission. Here is Edwin himself. He's quite young, he's only 18 years old at this stage, and you control essentially what was Mercia before before the Norman onslaught, right? So huge country here in the Midlands, and you have quite a capable army, you have lots of resources, you control salt, iron, etc, etc. Initially, yeah, I had a lot of unrest here, I had a lot of public order, a lot of loyalty issues, but I managed. I had a campaign, I still have an ongoing campaign, when I expanded somewhat north, somewhat east and south, not much, but yeah, I'm having a good time, I'm having a really blast with it. So that's another historically inspired and quite accurate faction here. And the last faction of interest to us, which is very historically inspired as well, is Morcar. These are all key players in the Norman conquest, that's why I'm focusing on them. So Morcar is also his brother of Edwin, and he controls at this stage Northumbria. Northumbria, from where Tostig, Harold Godwinson's brother, was forced out a few years prior to this, and in fact Tostig is still bitter about it. He's now with Hardrada trying to reinvade the country. So they have historical legacy here, Leofric's legacy. The Godwin family of Wessex do not desert the throne of England, reclaim what is yours. And so you see from this map that this is the liege, this is his overlord in Wessex, and these are your domains. I actually started to play as Northumbria, and yeah, I was quickly defeated, so I got Morcar killed. And essentially on turn 4 or 5, I think, Hardrada marched north. I was totally unprepared. I was stuck here trying to defend my settlement, and I got wiped out. And my king, or earl rather, Morcar got killed, so that was game over for me. I might restart at some point again to see if I can do anything about it. But it is like old history, you know, alternative history. Obviously, these guys will not be able to withstand Hardrada. In fact, this is 1066. What it's famous for is like 3 famous battles all in 1 year. You know, Battle of Gate Fulford here, where Morcar and Edwin, they will combine their forces, but will still be defeated by Hardrada and Tostig. So that's first battle. Then, of course, you know, we have Harold Godwinson marching from London, from Wessex, and defeating Hardrada in turn, and this is Battle of Stamford Bridge, and it's all in late September. And then finally William the Conqueror lands here in Pevensey, seizes Hastings, marches inland, and Harold, foolishly enough, hurries to encounter him and is defeated. So that is the third fateful and momentous battle of 1066, the Battle of Hastings, of course. So here is what Northumbria controls at this stage, as you can see. So all of these states, they essentially bound together into one huge Anglo-Saxon, Anglo-Norman, that's a bit later, Anglo-Saxon realm, and they facing enemies from the north, with Hardrada and his Norwegians, and from the south with William and his fabulous Norman knights. So this is my current Mercian campaign. So as you can see, I've expanded somewhat, not much. I'm trying to hold my ground. I'm at peace with everyone. I've got Edwin up to 10 with his influence at this stage. He controls 11 estates as well. So he's 20-year-old only, and that is because this mod, because of historical nature of it, so every turn is 2 weeks. So the mod starts in early September, and then it's every turn basically. It's 2 weeks advance. So you have 2 turns for September, 2 for October, and so forth and so on. Now, what would I say about the gameplay in this mod? So it's very light. There are some scripts that have been added, I believe, from various other mods, from 12.12, I think, as well. And some from Shield Wall, some elements have been added in terms of the unit appearances, I believe. It feels very lightweight mod. It's essentially Britannia with the starting change, and the characters and kingdoms and, units redone. In terms of, AI turn times, you don't feel it like, for example, Crucible of the Kings I had installed. That one, the turn times, it feels almost like, like Attila, because it just progresses quite slowly. This one is like within, a couple of seconds, AI will finish with its turns. Feels very like Vanilla Britannia, which is great. As you know, the Vanilla Britannia is a very lightweight game. There is no agents. The trade is automated. It's not a game where, it's just you know, where CA was moving towards, kind of very kind of casual gameplay sort of style of gameplay. That's what Britannia is essentially, at least to me. The only thing I find here that is a little bit requires a bit of an effort is this estate system. When your lords or your governors or whoever they are want an estate, and it's just remembering who wants what. Going back to this mod, it's fantastic. Again, what it does, it brings you to this fateful year of 1066. You have the choice of playing as historical characters. You can play as Harold in Wessex, you can play as William and launch an invasion. You can play as Edwin and Morcar in their respective earldoms. You can play as Hardrada as well, invading and trying your fortunes in England. So all these famous characters, you know, larger than life, you can play as them. The only thing I would suggest is perhaps, you know, adjusting the recruitment a little bit. I don't like the idea of having so much cavalry for the Anglo-Saxons. They should be fighting in Viking style on foot. It's the Normans that should have the cavalry. Same goes for Hardrada, should be fighting on foot. So maybe improving that if possible. And also, I don't know if it's possible also to script the battle when William lands. When you land as William, maybe have a scripted battle somewhere in the vicinity where you're landing, and have the historically accurate Anglo-Saxon host facing you. You see Harold is still in alive in my game. And yeah, another thing I've noticed that I would probably would be nice to have is to increase Normans in power a little bit. They got killed off quite early on in my campaign as Mercia, which is quite unfortunate. You want to see them prevail. You want to see them a bit stronger and actually bring in Wessex to its knees if possible. So again, if you like historically accurate mods, this should have really been DLC for Britannia. You know, this is like, I think the description of the mod says that it's actually free DLC for Britannia, which is, you know, totally accurate. This is what it should have been. In fact, I wish Britannia would start at this date as well. This is a fateful year. 3 battles. You know, pitch battles were very rare in medieval times. It was all about sieges, looting, raiding. They were too risky. And here, in 1 year, we have 3, you know, and there is no official mod or DLC or free DLC, nothing at all from the Creative Assembly. So this mod, it fills this vacuum, you know, fills this lacuna, so which is really good. You get to play as historical characters. It's splendid period in time, and it's a real shame there's nothing official from the Creative Assembly about this. They could have introduced different mechanics, different things. So the only thing I wish for this mod, if it would be, you know, in future improved, is maybe recruitment. You know, make the battles and the recruitment a little bit more historically accurate, so that you have the Anglo-Saxons fighting as Vikings, you have Normans a bit more unique in terms of cavalry and knights that they deploy, with you know, Wessex and others having their housecarls and others. Other than that, guys, fantastic mod. And this Britannia is essentially the last historical title from Creative Assembly as far as I'm concerned. Like, looking at the 3 Kingdoms, this is not a historical game, I'm sorry. Troy, yeah, no. So this is it. So that's why I'm clinging to this, and that's why I found this mod, and I'm so fascinated by it. I was hooked, and I was playing it for days on end. I can't, you know, stop myself because of, you know, how important this event is in British history and European history as well. And there's nothing on it apart from this mod. Don't expect this mod to overhaul Britannia. This is not meant to do it, but it doesn't have to. You know, it's beautiful as it is. It's very light touches it's puts on it, and it changes what needs to be changed. You know, the starting characters, the date, the provinces, and all the rest of that, the relationship between the entities. So absolutely fantastic, guys, and I hope there will be more updates to this mob. There are bits and bobs that could be improved about it, like I said. So go check it out. The link is in the description, and I'll see you in the next one.